Today I'm going to tie a elk hair caddis in purple. So one of the hot things on the scene lately has been purple dry flies, and I've definitely found that are really the hot ticket. And so I've just adapted the standard elk hair caddis to meet that need as well. So I'm going to start off with some purple 8/0. And again, I'm going to start by wrapping the thread around my finger, and I'm going to come on and lay down a simple thread base. Back to about the point of the hook, maybe back to the barb. The next step that I'm going to take is I'm going to use some UTC wine small wire. And I'm going to tie that in. And we're shooting for that to run about the length of the hook, just so we don't get any weird bumps along the way. And then I'm just going to tie that back. The next step is I'm going to just wax my thread a little bit. And I'm going to throw on a little ice dub, UV purple. Pulled that out of my steelhead box, and we're just going to layer in a bit of a tapered body. The wax, this stuff's pretty long, so the wax kind of helps that stay in nice and tight. And then we're going to start and just wrap that forward. Nothing too fancy here, just a standard elk hair caddis. And the next step, we could use lots of different colored hackles. I use grizzly. I also use kind of some light dun hackles. I'm going to prep my feather by just trimming a couple of the ends off on either side of the stem, and I'll tie that in side towards me, and then I'm just going to throw a half hitch. I don't get overly hung up on different colors of hackle. Grizzly's always a good choice. And then I'm just going to pull that around, and then I'm just going to wrap my vise backwards. And work that back to the back of the hook. And if you lose it, just recapture it. Till I'm back at the rear of the hook. Then I'm going to pull that wire off my materials holder. Come over and make sure I've got it, and maybe weave it through a little bit so I don't lose it. And then I'm just going to work that back forward. One of the tricks that I kind of use is I just sort of just shake it back and forth, but still kind of keeping it at that 45-degree angle, and it keeps me from trapping fibers in there. I'm going to get back up to the front. Just going to flip over and tie that guy down. And I could break that off, or I cut it off. And I'm going to come back and slide up right underneath the back of that and trim my hackle off and make sure I don't have any wayward fibers there. Again, I'm always a fan of plucking versus cutting. Not that you'll be able to see that in the finished fly anyways. I'm going to come back. I don't want to be right up on top of that head when I tie my wing in. So I'm going to come in with some Compare Done deer hair. And I'm just going to pull off a good size clump. This is a size 16 Dairiki hook here. Number 13 1X. I like the 1X. It gives me just that little bit of extra length. On this I'm going to come in and I'm just going to grab these tips. Some of this deer hair lately that I've had has stubby tips kind of seated down inside. So I'm going to kind of brush that off with my Velcro, spin that out. I'm going to push that backwards up into my hair stacker. Make sure those fibers don't have a chance to flip around on me. I'm going to give it a couple taps. Come back up horizontal, give it a little twist. It'll line everything up. And then come back out again. And again, just make sure everything is just right. Most people, including myself, tie these wings too long, and it's not really that big of a deal, but what I'm really shooting for is a wing just to the back, of the fly. See, I just did it. Couple of loose wraps. Pull everything up because they'll tend to want to wrap the hook and spin. And then just slowly crank down. I'm going to go a couple wraps in front. I like the trick of pre-cutting these, but I also like the opportunity to really cinch this down by alternating behind and in front. And then when I'm happy, I'll come in and I will whip finish. Really simply, you can crank out a ton of these, and just like a purple haze comparadon, it's just an amazing fly. I heard somebody once say that, I think I read it in a magazine, that somebody was going to quit fly fishing because they only needed one purple fly. They were so amazing. And I've had a similar experience, so I'm just adapting this color to another really traditional pattern. So then I'm going to come up, just hold everything up in one fell swoop, and kind of come in at the angle of the eye of the hook and make one last snip. Not a bad idea on these at all to do a little head cement. There's a lot of stuff sitting on the top of that fly. And again, the applicators that come in a lot of these head cement containers is huge, so I transferred onto my smaller needle. Just lay that across there. And that'll make really sure that that head never moves and you can catch a bunch of fish on this fly. That's your completed purple elk hair caddis.